for you to do that.
Mm-hmm.
They're all set, John.
Okay. All right, so first, can you tell me your name?
My name is Kathleen Kreider.
And how did you come to be interested in this project?
I have a dear friend who has really gratefully listened to me complain about some of the struggles that I have had with receiving services. I am someone who has lived in a low-income world for a long time, and she was kind enough to suggest that I contact you and maybe be helpful to a process of changing some of the way we think about transportation for people with low income and who need services.
And what town do you live in?
I live in Coventry, which is just outside of Willimantic. It's a rural community.
And how did you get here today?
Today I drove my own car. Every time I get in my car, I am reminded of what my mechanic said, which is that don't go any further than you're willing to be stranded. But I got here today, and I'm hopefully going to get home.
So, tell me a little bit about what that's like for you to never quite know for sure that your car is reliable.
Yeah, and at various times it has meant various things. When I was unemployed, it was less stressful, believe it or not, because I just kept things really simple, and I didn't go very many places, and I sort of asked people to come to me. But of course, that's also sort of sad, if you will, and I like to be in my community and I like to do things, and so that didn't feel great, but it felt safe. Oh, I don't have to worry about my car breaking down because I'm unemployed. I don't really have to go anywhere. And then something would come up where I would need to go somewhere, whether it was meeting basic needs for my family or maybe even something I really wanted to do, and I had to make a decision, like with the weather. So don't go any further than you're willing to be stranded. It's below zero. Am I willing to be stranded even 5, 7, 10 miles from home? Maybe not. And so it was limiting. It still is limiting, actually. It's still limiting. And it's a goal of mine in terms of my financial status to be able to provide myself with stable and reliable transportation.
And so what are some of the barriers to making that happen right now?
Wage, access to a livable wage-paying job, and then when you have been unemployed or underemployed for a long time, even with livable wage-paying jobs, to get yourself to a place financially where the next thing that you can safely purchase is a $2,000, $3,000, $10,000 item, whatever that item is really, really hard. And I work really hard to manage debt, so I choose to take loans off the table in terms of my choices, because that's a cycle that I don't want to be in. I can't see the end of that cycle, so I don't want to even be in that cycle.
And given the employment situation that you're talking about, that's just an additional stressor, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
So talk a little bit more about being in a profession and working in a type of community where the pay is not necessarily enough to live on.
Right. Well, and I think important, for me it's also important to talk about choice, because I choose to live in the greater Willimantic community. And that is not a high wage paying part of the state of Connecticut. I live in the northeast corner of Connecticut, and I have lived and worked and shopped and loitered in that part of this state most of my life. And it is hard. I have an education. I have a background that suggests all kinds of things that are, as it turns out, not true about my life. I am a single parent, and I've been a single parent since my kids were very, very small. My husband was the wage earner in our family. His choices changed my economic baseline, and they changed it at a time when one of my children was not school-aged. And so the choices that I've been able to make in the northeast corner of the state to support my family have kept me at a very low wage, despite what people might think of my capacity.
And that's something that doesn't get talked about enough is, single women who do have education, who are single mothers also, and maybe did not have the opportunity to be in a secure place before they became single mothers.
Sure.
So, you know, that's something that really none of our interviewees have been able to bring forth yet.
Right.
And so having young children when you entered a new phase of life must have presented a lot of challenges in terms of, you know, getting reliable employment where you didn't have to worry too much about are the kids safe while I'm working. And then when transportation is an issue, dealing with their needs in addition to your responsibilities. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, yeah, sure. So the kind of work that felt available to me, especially in the very beginning, was work that was connected to a school calendar. Because if it was a snow day, then I could be home with my kids. If it was April vacation, I worked for a school that aligned with my town's calendar. I could be home with my kids. And because of